is on the horizon. A UEFA Cup place is on the cards, enough to persuade even Arsenal to select all their big guns. Half a dozen of these players are appearing in the competition for the first time this season. Arsene Wenger is still without the services of Tony Adams, Lee Dixon and David Platt through injury. But the bonus for a team scratching around for goals at present is the return from suspension of Ian Wright. Although Wright and Dennis Bergkamp have scored just one goal apiece in the last 3 months now. A year ago, John Hartson was Wright's heir apparent at Arsenal. Now he's outscoring him. 15 goals in 13 games here at Upton Park, where West Ham have been near invincible. They're without their suspended skipper Steve Lomas tonight, so Rio Ferdinand has to fill in midfield. The one change from the side that huffed and puffed over Emily at the weekend sees Andrew Impey replace the injured Tim Breaker on the right flank. And one of the Arsenal mascots this evening is, would you believe, Geoff Hurst's grandson. In charge tonight, Graham Barber. Both teams made hard work of supposedly easy FA Cup assignments of the weekend. They know a lot more about each other than they knew about Emley and Port Vale. This is a heavyweight quarter-final, and there are sure to be some heavyweight challenges. Hartson and Kitson trying to link up immediately. David Seaman's first kick of this Coca-Cola Cup campaign. It's Lazaridis, though. Here is Hartson. Martin Keown got to him. Arsenal have won their last 5 games against West Ham, including a 4-0 Premiership success at Highbury in September. They were 4 up at half-time that day, top of the table at full-time. The same players now finding goals and glory a little harder to come by. David Unsworth skippering West Ham in the absence of Lomas. Kitson allows some space by Keown. Petit getting amongst it. One back by Potts, who started in midfield with Ferdinand at the back. Lazaridis trying to skin Grimondi. Ferdinand, who operated in midfield against Emley at the weekend, back in his more familiar station, alongside Ian Pearce at the back for West Ham. Bergkamp. Wrong-footed Unsworth. It's in towards Ian Wright. It was a good effort. The goals may have dried up, but the spring and the confidence have not as yet. And it's only a matter of time before they get their act together again. Nothing more certain of that. Arsenal challenged by Bold, who seems to have come off the worst and is still down for the moment. Lazaridis on to Frank Lampard. Strong burst by Lampard, and couldn't resist the shot in the end, and Seaman had to be smartly down by his near post. Lampard, who got the taste for goals with a hat-trick in the last round against Walsall. Ball there against Ian Pearce. Graham Barber had a good view of it. Rather subdued protest from the big defender. Steve Bold had just been waved back onto the field, having received some treatment. Arsenal back to their full complement. This is a promising position. Bergkamp will be the favourite here. It's Dennis Bergkamp. It's a smart save by Craig Forrest, well held. On target from Bergkamp. Managed to defeat the wall, but not the goalkeeper. Lazaridis. Kitson to Berkovic. Impey tiptoeing forward, trying to get beyond Winterburn, who recovered his position and reacted quickly. David Unsworth just limping slightly. Eyal Berkovic. In towards Paul Kitson. Oh, and Seaman caught him there, and that's a penalty. Definite body contact between goalkeeper and player, and Seaman was second to the point of action. And although he held his hands back, and although he looks rather quizzical, it's not difficult to see why Graham Barber pointed to the spot. Seaman caught him with his right leg. Kitson was going nowhere special, but he got there ahead of Seaman. Ian Wright has just had a word with Seaman, who will know all about John Hartson himself. Arsenal old boy against Arsenal number one. John Hartson with a penalty. Saved by Seaman. Oh, that wasn't part of his dream last night. David Seaman, who saved a Julian Dix penalty on this ground a couple of years ago, was sent off here back in '93. Having conceded the penalty, saves the penalty. It wasn't very far away from him, was it? There's a yellow card off the ball for Patrick Vieira, meanwhile, as we review Seaman's fairly comfortable penalty stop, much to the disgust of Harry Redknapp. How costly will that be? Vieira has been yellow carded. Free kick won by Vieira this time. David Seaman has had to listen to some recent criticism, but he will listen to all kinds of praise ringing in his ears if Arsenal are successful tonight. And Hartson will have to mull on the prospect of that happening for the remainder of the game and try and do something to make sure it doesn't. That's nice from Petit to Wright. Bergkamp. Stolen by Potts. Oh, and Pearce ran into trouble, and here's Wright skipping away from Forrest and putting it back. There's nobody there. I wonder if there's any contact between Forrest and Wright at that instant in the penalty area when Ian Wright stole the ball. He didn't go down. Forrest was second to the action that time. It was a mistake by Unsworth. Bergkamp forced it on. Now, I don't think there was any contact, was there? Wright certainly wasn't looking for a penalty, to his great credit. Potts to Lazaridis. Little flick from Kitson, and here's Frank Lampard galloping clear, lost the ball under his feet, and it is a very heavy pitch. But it was a very good opening. Bowles back pass, just about strong enough. Seaman towards Bergkamp. Ferdinand for company. Dennis Bergkamp, good stop by Forrest, and Impey just beats over Mars to the rebound. Agile and alert goalkeeping by Craig Forrest. Sweetly struck volley by Dennis Bergkamp. It's from that long clearance by David Seaman. Ferdinand just couldn't quite get on goal side of Bergkamp, who was allowed to get in the shot. Space for Lampard, good control. Caught in the Parla Vieira sandwich. John Hartson is around the ball. He surely would love another crack at Seaman. Sooner the better. It's David Unsworth, it's round the wall, but Seaman, with the ease of an outfielder just collecting a single down to third man, gobbles it up. Winterburn towards right. Oh, a lovely little nick inside Ferdinand, on by Bergkamp. This is right. That's a fantastic goal for Arsenal. And sooner or later, Ian Wright and Dennis Bergkamp are going to get their act together again. And that moment has arrived, and Arsenal lead after 25 minutes. Lovely little turn inside Ferdinand. Lovely little touch on by Bergkamp. And you wouldn't know that Ian Wright, by his standards, was in a bit of a drought. Tucked in off the chest of Forrest, but tucked away nicely. And the old firm are back in business. Ferdinand. Well, asked an awful lot of Paul Kitson. Just wonder whether Harry Redknapp might consider swapping Ferdinand and Potts to the roles they fulfilled against Emily here on Saturday. Confident play by Pearce. Berkovic. Kitson onto Berkovic again. Well, the stun on the pass would have been, had to be absolutely perfect to have got Berkovic in behind Arsenal. Overmars, turned away from Impey, but turned into Ferdinand. Arsenal not getting much change out of Keown and Bowl. Vieira being urged to go back to his goalkeeper. That route has now been cut off by Kitson, and the ball's been stolen momentarily by Berkovic. And Keown has to concede a throw in a rather dangerous position, thanks to Berkovic's persistence. This is Eyal Berkovic, just bobbled in front of Frank Lampard. Unsworth. Hartson won the header, couldn't direct it, broke off Overmars' arm, and the flag is being waved on the near side to indicate to Graham Barber that he should award a free kick to West Ham for that use of the arm. And look where it is. David Unsworth, number 6, is a left footer. The angle seems to suit him. It's Lampard though. Oh, and it hit the post. David Seaman didn't really get there. He made some contact in the end and can be credited with the save, but he needs to be credited with some luck too. Frank Lampard very nearly beat him. Keown helping it on its way. Hairy moment for David Seaman. Scrambling across his line behind his wall. Oh, and he just actually got his foot on the ball before it hit the post. And he did have a lot of his frame across there. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt there, eh? Lampard. Pearce. Winterburn got there eventually. A lot was said about the respective strike partnerships prior to kick-off this evening. Ian Wright and Dennis Bergkamp haven't been having the very best of times, but aided by David Seaman's penalty save, the two Arsenal frontmen have certainly looked more dangerous, more lively, more inventive than a troubled John Hartson following that penalty save and Paul Kitson at the other end. And Wright and Bergkamp it was who conjured up the only goal of the first half after 25 minutes. At the break, West Ham United 0, Arsenal 1. 1-0 to the Arsenal. West Ham United's home record is imposing this season, 12 wins in 13 games at Upton Park. But Arsenal have won their last 3 matches on this ground and haven't lost here since 1987. A bit of improvisation by Ferdinand. Liam Brady was actually amongst the West Ham scorers the last time they beat Arsenal here. Since then, Arsenal have won 6 and drawn 2 up the East End in 8 visits. They're on course for another good result here tonight. Here's Kitson trying to do something about that. Impey. Kitson has some space there, and he directed the header pretty well, despite a buffeting from Patrick Vieira. He's had a spell out of the team following a groin operation, but has scored 3 times in 5 games since his return. Out for 3 months. Very difficult for the likes of Hartson and Kitson to make an impression so far tonight. Here is Hartson. Locked it beyond Kitson. Header from Grimondi was into trouble. Lazaridis. Berkovic. Oh, well struck. Seaman just helped it over. Slipped there by Gilles Grimondi. Opened the door for El Berkovic. Shot was pretty close to Seaman, but it was hit with a lot of power. Two or 3 yards either side of England's goalkeeper might have been interesting. Didn't really get it to move as much in the air as he would have liked. Taken by Lazaridis. Bowled up in front of Hartson, but the ball squirting back towards his own goalkeeper, who is alert. Berkovic. Kitson. Turned bowl, but Hartson was offside. A bit of frustration there, showing in John Hartson, who had a shot at Seaman nonetheless. Hasn't been able to get the handcuffs off tonight. The memory of that saved penalty isn't helping. Off the head of Unsworth. Oh, Ferdinand hesitated. Here's a chance for Overmars, and Arsenal are gifted a second goal and are in control of the quarter-final. Rio Ferdinand wishes the ground would open up for him. Mark Overmars, who scored twice against West Ham United at Highbury in September, is just given Arsenal's second goal of the night here. 7 minutes of the second half gone. Fatally, they allow the ball to bounce, and Overmars kept his head. This is Nigel Winterburn. Flags up. Samasi Abu, who hails from the Ivory Coast. An October signing from Cannes. And is going to replace Paul Kitson with a little over half an hour remaining. Spotted by Harry Redknapp playing in the Toulon Under-21 tournament 3 years ago. Still to open his West Ham account. Just a fatal slip by Rio Ferdinand, letting in Mark Overmars for the second Arsenal goal. Overmars. He has the pace to cause some problems here, and he has Ian Wright to his left, and he delayed, and Wright is offside. Really good break. Just a yard earlier if he delivered it. Wright tried to hold his ground. West Ham prepared to make another change. Keith Rowland will replace Ian Pearce. Roland is a left-sided player, Northern Ireland international. Umpire. Berkovic. Ran into Bergkamp. Right. Bergkamp has Winterburn in support. Instead it's in towards Ian Wright, overhead kick. Very nearly came off for him too. David Unsworth managed to get back there and do just enough. Found by Bergkamp. Needed the challenge really from Unsworth to take the sting out of Wright's ambitious attempt. Feeling that Bergkamp hasn't quite recovered his best form since the suspension that he suffered in November. One or two of the recent feelings about Bergkamp and Wright would have been dispelled tonight. Lampard, Lazaridis. Lampard. On by Lazaridis. This is Frank Lampard. Keown pulled out of position. Lampard did well. Oh, and Hartson slipped. Still comes from Berkovic though. Held up by Winterburn. Hartson! Blocked by Petit. Hit by Ferdinand. Blocked by Keown. That's as stretched as Arsenal have looked at the back for a long time. David Unsworth trying to keep the pressure on, but it's an Arsenal throw. A little bit of encouragement for Harry Redknapp. Very important block in the midst of all that by Emmanuel Petit, because Keown was pulled out of position. Lampard got in the free kick. Ironically, Hartson slipped and the ball seemed tailor-made for him, but Petit blocked Hartson's shot and then Keown got in the way of the next one. Seemed to break off the hand of Bowl, but the referee could hardly have been closer. An awkward bounce. Roland. On for Abu to chase. Oh, and Bowl doesn't deal with it. And somehow, Samasi Abu has pulled a goal back for West Ham. 15 minutes left to play. Abu's first goal for the club has given them some hope. And Keown and Bold undone by a ball played over the top of them. They've looked rock solid all night, but they had the shakes there as the ball dropped over the shoulder of Keown and bounced beyond Bold, and Abu just wrapped a foot around him, and suddenly West Ham United are in with a shout. Impey has won the ball. Petit has won it back momentarily. On goes Impey. Bergkamp. Overmars. Two in support of him here. It's Mark Overmars. Well, blocked by Potts. That's what he does so well. Cuts inside under his right foot. He has the pace to threaten you on the outside. And enough of a goal-scoring record to make you wonder whether he's going to come inside. Fouled on Impey. But the tide may just be starting to turn in this game. West Ham have certainly created a few waves, shall we say. Arsenal don't look as much in control. Impey's free kick. Hartson tried to get there and did, but fouled Keown. Difficult to call those. I think it was the elbow in the small of Keown's back, which was probably the errant weapon. Parlour against Rowland, who felt it. I think Parlour was entitled to challenge to the ball. Referee saw nothing underwater and has said a throw in. Now, where's Parlour's left arm? I think really where his eyes are is the important thing, looking at the ball all the time. No question that he was looking for Rowland. Vieira to Parlour. And here's Bright! Well kept out by Forrest. Overmars is there. And somehow Forrest managed to rescue the situation. Time stood still there for an instant. But Craig Forrest, having kept out Ian Wright's attempt, just managed to punch the ball away from the on-rushing Mark Overmars. Good keeping. Been a regular for the last 3 months, despite the arrival of Bernard Lamar just before Christmas. Another month or so before Ludek McCloskey is ready for consideration following a knee operation. Hartson. Handball was that by Petit. Abu goes on. Play goes on. Overmars. So nearly a second goal for him. Pops away. Keown slipped. Hartson couldn't profit. Keown is still down and in some trouble, I think. And John Hartson is encouraging the referee to stop play because Martin Keown is flat out. Gary Lewin, the physiotherapist, comes on, and one can only hope that it isn't Keown's shoulder again. He slipped, he was on the way down, and then, oh, I suspect it's not the shoulder. I suspect it is right ear that's ringing a little bit. Again, John Hartson had eyes only for the ball, but he mistook it for Martin Keown's head at the last moment. Dazed, for sure. Well, it's a nasty wrap around the side of the face, but no intent on Hartson's part. Keown lost his footing and finished up in the same vicinity of the ball, which was dropping out of the sky. Ian Wright, the scorer of the first goal, is being replaced meanwhile by Christopher Ray. Now 20 minutes against Port Vale on Saturday. A little less than that tonight. Keown will soldier on. But they've had a measure of control for much of the night, and they head towards the semi-finals. Arsene Wenger shows very little emotion, but it was a performance as efficient as many that Arsenal have given down the years in the cup competitions. Frustrating night for John Hartson, unable to make any real impression against his old club, and saddled with the disappointment of having missed a penalty which could have given West Ham an early advantage. Arsenal took command. Wright and Bergkamp, who both made major contributions to their success tonight, combining to score before half-time. The West Ham defence combining to give Mark Overmars a second. And although Samasi Abu, with 15 minutes left to play, managed to raise West Ham United hopes, he couldn't raise them into the semi-finals, and Dennis Bergkamp may be heading to a Wembley final. Final score tonight, West Ham United 1, Arsenal 2.
Harry, such great expectation coming into this game for the club, and such disappointment at the end, I'm sure.
Well, that's how it goes. It was always going to be a tough game. You know, Arsenal are a good side. Let's not get it wrong. I mean, they've got 10 internationals in their team, and but I thought it was a very even game. The game turned on key situations. We missed a penalty. Young Frank gets a great free kick, hits a post, come back, it's David Seaman on the head. You know, we defended badly for the goals. I mean, the breaks, you know, it could have gone either way, and they went Arsenal's way tonight. Nothing we could do about it.
It was a real cup game with both teams could have won it, and but it's not easy to go to West Ham and win it because they had a big record here at home, and nobody could beat them until now. So I think it was not easy, and we needed a great game to do it.
It's a big year for you, of course, as well, with England, the World Cup, so you've kicked it off in great style too.
Yeah, everybody knows how important that is to me, and I'm always striving for that. Challenges, I think people always need challenges, and that is a big challenge for me, and I'm going to make sure that I give it my best shot.
Gabriel Clark with the questions there. Ray Clements with me. View of the game, Ray?
Well, I think that Arsenal probably just about deserved it. I think the battle that was won was in the middle of the field, really. I thought Petit was absolutely superb in the middle of the field today. It was really a very heavy pitch, and that doesn't really suit West Ham. They love to pass it around, and their midfield was possibly a little bit lightweight tonight for that sort of style of play.
Harry Redknapp said it in there. It all hinged really on that early chance and that penalty. First of all, the incident, which we're both very interested about, because it involves David Seaman here, Ray. How do you see this?
Well, I don't think David can have any qualms about this. He comes out there and decides, I think he thinks that Kitson isn't going to get it to start off with, but then tries to draw away from it, but his foot actually does catch Kitson, and although he's pointing at him there saying it certainly was a penalty.
And the kick?
Well, I think John Hartson will be disappointed with this. I mean, it's always a psychological battle, isn't it, a penalty with the goalkeeper and the penalty taker.
And his old club.
His old club. Ian Wright had gone and spoken to David beforehand, maybe put a little bit of doubt in John Hartson's mind, and it was, for somebody like David, it's a relatively comfortable save.
Yeah. You mentioned Ian Wright there, 1 goal only in his last 9 games, and he's back after suspension, and there were signs tonight, Ray, weren't there, of that partnership with Dennis Bergkamp?
Oh, certainly. I mean, very early in the game, remember Dennis drawing out the front and delivering the ball to the back post, and Ian Wright just headed it over the bar. And there was 3 or 4 occasions in the game where those two got together very, very well and caused West Ham a few problems.
Yes. Well, I think we can see the goal now. Let's have a look at it involving these two, Ray.
Yes, I mean, it's a delightful first touch. I mean, with the outside of his foot there, and of course Bergkamp, difficult pitch, but a lovely return ball to Wright. Leaves everybody for dead and finishes as he has done over the years. But, I mean, that was a sign of things to come. To say later on in the game, they also came close on 2 or 3 other occasions. Another
man that we had eyes on tonight, you particularly had eyes on, Glenn Hoddle had eyes on, Rio Ferdinand, involved in that goal there, but even a real mistake, wasn't it, for the second goal?
Yes, unfortunately it was. You know, Rio's got tremendous potential, but, you know, he's still learning, and this is a harsh lesson for him. Once this ball comes down, he allows it to bounce. There's indecision between Unsworth and himself. There's a tricky bounce there. Now he's in no man's land, and it's a relatively easy finish for Overmars. But, you know...
He should have attacked that ball here first off.
Yeah, I mean, once it's bounced there, then he's got a problem. Overmars gets his body in front of Rio, and he can't do anything about it.
No. Suddenly, Ray, Arsenal are taking this competition seriously, which they haven't been doing up to now.
No, it's amazing, isn't it? Just before Christmas, all of a sudden there was talk that there may well be a European place for the cup winners of this tournament, and all of a sudden sides are making it very, very important that they get through.
Yeah, plus poor formers.